Okay, so today is the last session. It's really about the finishing postures, some inversions, and maybe we'll just talk about a few advanced postures and then summarize everything to date. So what you'll have in this program will be several modules, and this will be the last module in a sense. And then at the end of this, it'll summarize all the principles that maybe can help you design your own self-practice. Remembering that going to a class is also great, it increases your energy level, and I think it's just fine to go there every now and again to get stimulated and to get adjusted and to make sure that your posture is fine and is tweaked. I choose not to do it because I sometimes get carried away in a class, and now my practice is so different to any class I go to that it really, I have to be very, very selective. What you can also do, if you do have your own sort of space to do your yoga, you could put a mirror up and then you could look at your postures and see how you're doing in relation to what you know from your own practice and also from what you've known by refreshing your memory maybe on DVDs and so on. But the mirror I found is distracting. It sort of makes you look at yourself. It can become a form of spiritual materialism, kind of like going to the class, where you become more involved in being perfect than in being in the flow and in just enjoying it and having a good time. But I think it is important every now and then to sort of readjust what you're doing to make sure that you're not way out of line. Although this is mainly for experienced yogis who already know the postures and can sort of self-correct. As you can see, I need lots of corrections, but I'm not interested in corrections. I'm just interested in flow and doing the practice and getting the benefit regardless of how I look. Now some of you have had a pretty advanced practice, maybe you still do, but some of you may have lagged behind. I mean, I remember going to classes especially with Batavi Joyce, and people were very enthusiastic in the beginning. There was a class, there was a lot of energy, and when I would meet them 2 or 3 months later, they would be doing nothing at all. So that's sort of surprising. They're very enthusiastic and then they stop. So this is for the long term. Iyengar did his practice into his 90s. Obviously, we're not Iyengar, but we can take that example. You can keep changing your postures to suit the changes in your body. Now, in my medical practice, I frequently see people who just reached up for something on the shelf and they tore the rotator cuff. This is what we want to prevent. Or they decided to have a quick run on the beach and they ruptured the Achilles tendon. That won't happen if you continue to do your yoga practice, or it shouldn't do unless you really overstress it. Sort of the little old lady in a sense of 80 who trips over a pattern in the carpet ends up with a fractured hip in the hospital with a hip replacement. It wasn't so long ago that mortality rate was about 30%. It's of course much better now with modern advances. So this is another reason to be doing the yoga. It's good preventative health. Research has shown it elongates your telomeres. Your physiological age is much younger than your actual chronological age. So there are lots of reasons to keep on doing it, but sometimes the energy lags. So the finishing postures, I might just go through a few of the arm balances that I've adapted to my own limitations. Like I said before, I can't really do handstands anymore because of my wrists. So I've adapted some of my postures, which were really third series Ashtanga, but I had a yoga teacher who was very sort of free-flowing, and way back when, he saw I had, more strength than I had flexibility, so he showed me a lot of the arm balances that I could do, and I've adapted those, and they sort of keep me strong in my upper body, and I like them and they're fun, but I've had to change them because of the limitations I have. But this is the fascination of doing your own practice, because you can be very creative, and being creative becomes true yoga. Your spirit guides want you to invent your own reality. They don't want you being a copycat version of somebody else. They want you to be yourself. So that's today. I should just stress the fact that keep your core always in mind. Mula Bandha can help you with that. The Navasana, the boat that we did, can can really strengthen your quadratus lumborum and your psoas and give you a strong brace there. And the opposite boat, where you're lying on your back and you're lifting your legs and your arms, strengthens your sacrospinalis. So that's really important for your core strength in the back and in the front. Also, you'll see that today's finishing postures, for me, it's hard to just do them straight, because my neck is very stiff and I do have to warm up. So that's the one reason that I showed you the variations of the plow pose, the halasana pose, which I might just go over again now with you. So it's not a bad idea to do your sitting postures and your forward bends, and then go into some of those halasana postures, which are also forward bends in a different way. And that'll help you with the finishing postures if you tend to be stiff, like I am. So this is just a prelude to the finishing postures. Just a modification of halasana. So last time I showed you this, you can come forward, and it's not a bad idea if you stiffen your neck to start with these. Remembering that always there's a balancing effect of counter posture, posture, counter posture, posture. So these have a lot to do with your neck. So you're going to have your neck in extreme flexion, and then there has to be something to put it back in extension. So this is the shoulder stand and the plow, and it's a really nice way to finish off. So if you can get into lotus, this is a nice thing to do. Some of the Ashtangis will prop up their knees with their hand and release the back here. And if you've got the balance, you can do that. Now remember, your neck is now in extreme flexion. So this can be problematic when we get older, so it's not something you should be doing without working your way into it. And then there's the counter pose, which is the fish. Now if you can do lotus, you do the one-way lotus, and the counter pose, fish. I'm not sure why they called it a fish, Matsyasana. If you're very flexible, you can grab your feet. Eight breaths at least, I'm doing less. And then I've always found it useful to change your lotus for symmetry. The Ashtangi yogis will know it's always the one-sided lotus. But it's good to have the other side, so this is an opportunity to do that, to balance out your body equilibrium. You can see this lotus isn't as good as the other one, but it's still better than not doing it. And then the conventional fish is kind of like a boat. Now, there may be an occasion now to do a back bend, but or a wheel, but my counterpose is Bakasana, the butterfly, because I like to keep my back straight. Those of you can do a forward fold, and that's fine, whatever you prefer. You can extend it a bit by going forward and pushing your legs out. Parakonasana. Just so you can actually go forward and get a bit of a better forward bend out of it. Now, it's also okay to do a back flip, and instead of coming up and doing a jump back, you could flip all the way back, but I think, when you've got a bit of an older neck with osteoarthritis and things aren't as good, that might be tempting problems. If you read Broad's book, you'll see that a lot of the time there've been problems which have not been common, but they can happen. It's been with extreme flexion and extensions of the neck, so that can be problematic. But for those of you that have got a very supple neck, you can flip back and then come around, which is kind of nice. But I just do it this way. I either walk back or jump back. This is one of the few times I actually use my hands in down dog to get a better down dog. And like I've said, when I sort of do this, I get a better extension in it. So now I thought I would just talk about inversions. Most of you, if you've had a practice, probably can do the headstand. If you can't, then do it against the wall. Because my forward bends are problematic, I jump into my headstand now, as before I would get my pelvis all the way over in a forward bend, with my legs down on the floor, and then it's easy just to raise your legs up into the headstand. So that's one better way to do it if you're very flexible and you've got a very complete forward bend. For the rest of you, either against the wall or alternatively jump into it. I'm going to show you the elbow balance, which is classically done this way, but I found it more fun for me to do it from a headstand into the elbow balance. And some of you might be able to do that, or just do an elbow balance as well, which is a nice inversion. You can also do your headstand with a tripod like this, which is actually easier. And Ashtanga has several variations of the headstand, which you could practice later if you're very good at it. This is one, and this is another one, and this is another one, and this is another one, and then this is another one with both hands back. So that can be quite challenging, and you have to jump into it. But I'll just show you the elbow balance and the headstand. And you can do variations with the splits. You can even do a twist
Or you can do this, which is kind of fun. Or you can go into a lotus. But because my back's not so good, I never get up straight. And then you can go half forward fold, come back, and then release. And then you do child's pose. I do it with my back extended, not flexed. But keep your head down for a while to just equilibrate. I remember an ophthalmologist telling me that one of the causes of detached retina is hitting your head. So, when you get to be a little bit older, you want to be careful, that you don't tempt the gods and do a pose where you end up falling on your head, or if you do fall, make sure you fall properly, because it is one of the causes of retinal detachment, which will obviously change your life. Now, the other thing, although they can fix it, sometimes they can't. So this is another inversion which is not that difficult to master. And then you can jump through or do whichever and come into the final postures that finish. Most of these are Ashtanga based, so you can leave out whatever you want. I've left out quite a few that I can't do anymore, and it usually ends up in lotus, but you can either do this if you can't do lotus, or you can do a half lotus, or you can do the full lotus. And then I think it's a good idea to do both sides. This is kind of nice, even if you can't do both locks, you can do one if you can, and it sets up your arms better for this kind of thing. Go forward, and many will put your head on the floor. Straight back, come back, 8 breaths in each, and then a little bit of a back bend. And then you do the same thing with the opposite lotus, or half lotus, whichever. Again, lock both sides if you can, or just one side to set it up. It feels good having your arm in your back. And then same thing. 8 breaths. Back bend. And then you can jump back in the lotus. It's not a bad time to meditate, and then you probably want to do it in your most comfortable lotus or no lotus at all, and then you can do a meditation before you finally do the corpse pose. And then with this you can either raise yourself and hold it for as long as you want, and go back. I'll just show the corpse pose, which is nothing to show really, but there is an option which is a dynamic corpse pose initially and then relax. Sometimes it's nice to do this. So you tense up every muscle except your face and your forehead and your scalp. So tense your toes, your feet, your ankles, your calves, your thighs, your buttocks, your hands, your forearms, your arms, shoulders, back, pelvis, even hold mula bandha. Keep the face relaxed, forehead relaxed, neck relaxed as much as you can. Hold it for a while and then do the corpse. Sort of exaggerates the response. And corpse pose is probably one of the most important. It's the retreat you get at the end. So don't compromise on it. Be sure and do it. And although you've been using ujjayi breathing, now you just let your breath go back to normal. As long as you want to do it. And then if you want and you prefer it, you could do your meditation after corpse pose. But corpse is usually the finishing thing, so don't do anything afterwards. Then you just get ready for work or whatever, or for bed. For those Ashtangis who want some challenges, or people who like to do arm balances, I thought I'd just show a few others that I modified. It's not to show you that you should do this, but to show you that you can change what you couldn't do before into something you can do, or you can change what you could do and now you can't do it into something that you can do. So again, it's the whole creative thing. So in the old days I could go from this position, actually from Navasana, and I could even do it from here into handstand. Now I can't do that anymore. And I've told you many reasons why, but I can do this. Again, my plough version is probably not straight. And this is actually part of Ashtanga third series, which I cannot do any of it, but I can do this part of it. It's modified, of course. So this is the other one that's sort of modified, also part of the third series Ashtanga, but modified to suit myself. life with gratitude, because whatever you do now, you'll feel different. If you go to work, it'll be better. If you go to sleep, it'll be better. Although some people get too active and they can't sleep afterwards. I don't. I get tired and I sleep better.